They still think we are stupid. They still think we are blind. I guess they think we're deaf too. I guess they think that we haven't spent the last 4 years watching Johnny B. Biden butcher the English language. I remember 20 years ago, the mainstream media was relentless. I mean, they were relentless in their criticism of George Bush. One of their main criticisms of my good friend Georgie was his inability to speak in public. They even invented a language for him, Bushisms. It seemed like every time W got behind a microphone, it took a team of Harvard professors to determine what the hell he was saying. Fool me once, shame on Betty. Fool me twice, Betty became Freddie. In the year of our Lord 2004, no one knew what the hell Georgie was talking about. Even Harvard professors couldn't figure out what he was saying. But looking back on it 20 years later, it appears that W was prophesizing. This man was a prophet. He was predicting that in 20 years, Betty would become Freddie and no one would notice. Matter of fact, Betty Freddie would be celebrated. Throughout his presidency, the media portrayed George Bush like a dumbass. They portrayed him as a dumb Southerner. They relentlessly made fun of him. And look, I am no defender of Georgie. Even though we are good friends, I didn't think W was a good president. Obviously, compared to Johnny B. Biden, he looks like George Washington, but Georgie made a lot of mistakes. He wasn't all that great. But the reason I am bringing this up, it's to highlight the difference in how the mainstream media portrayed George Bush and how the media has spent the last 4 years covering the deficiencies of Johnny B. Biden. Believe it or not, George Bush was not dumb. He was definitely not experiencing a mental decline. He just couldn't figure out how to put together sentences when a microphone was present. If you remove the microphone, Georgie was fine. John Biden, he couldn't put together sentences. John Biden couldn't verbalize his thoughts or lack thereof because Father Time had caught up to him. Throughout the last 4 years, there were serious concerns about the competence of Johnny B. Biden. I mean, this is the same dude that selected cackling Cam Harris to be vice president. I would understand selecting Cam to lead the cackling choir, but selecting the queen of incompetence to be the second most powerful person in the world? It's obvious why people were concerned about the mental acuity of Johnny Biden. But throughout the last 4 years, the mainstream media, they went out of their way to cover for him. The media gave John Biden a luxury that George Bush never had. 4 years of lying, 4 years of propaganda, 4 years of telling us that Johnny B is sharper than Jimmy Buffett's pencil-thin mustache. And even after the incompetence was exposed, after the entire country witnessed the real John Biden during the presidential debate, even after Johnny B is preparing to leave the White House and there is absolutely no reason to lie for him. There's absolutely no reason to cover it up. And even after all that, MSNBC still feels the need to lie to us about Johnny B. Biden. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel's in the description below. This morning on the second channel, talked about Stephen A. Smith blaming mythical racism for the Patriots firing Gerard Mayo. It's become an annual tradition at ESPN for Stevie to blame race for coaches being fired in the NFL. But this year, the sentiment behind it was a bit different. This year, the blaming was very subtle. So head over to the second channel and check it out. How many of you guys have heard of Simon Sanders, or maybe it's Symone Sanders? Simon, Symone. Who cares? How many of you have heard of her before? Anyone? Anyone familiar with Symone? All right, well, let Uncle KC introduce you. Symone Sanders is a political commentator at MSNBC. Here on the channel, we call that a paid propagandist. Symone is also the host of a weekend dump on MSNBC called The Weekend. Now, as you can see, the creative team at MSNBC, they put their collective brain cell together to come up with a catchy title for the show. But at this point in her young career, Symone Sanders, she's most known for sharing a beautician with Joy Reid. Symone and Joy might not be the #1 show at the network, but they are definitely the top clients at Balding Beauties. Over the weekend, Symone Sanders was invited as a guest on Meet the Press. Now, for those that don't know, Meet the Press used to be a legendary show. For decades, it was the flagship program at NBC News, one of the most watched news shows in America. Today, it's just another polished turd. Last week, Chucky Schumer, he claimed that deacons at Woke United Methodist did not mislead Americans when it came to the mental acuity of Johnny B. Biden. We did not lie to our fellow Americans. As leaders of this great country, I am offended by this blasphemous accusation. I, Charles Schumer, would never lie to my fellow Americans, and we didn't lie to them about my fellow fossil John Biden. We just didn't tell them the truth. There's a big difference. Kristen Welker, the host of Meet the Press, she had a panel on the show to discuss these lies. Comments from Chucky the Schumer. Symone Sanders was part of the panel. She was given the opportunity to call out the blatant propaganda. But instead of doing that, Symone Sanders booked a first-class ticket on the Bruce Caboose, and she doubled down on the myth that Johnny B. Biden is a genius. Since most of you have never met Symone, I'll point her out to you. She's the panelist who seems to be inspired by Vin Diesel. Watch for yourself.
I was very surprised that when you asked the question about mental acuity, he didn't more forcefully push back. The question on the table is the president all the way there? And the answer is unequivocally yes. Now, people can say that you feel as though President Biden might be a little too old to do the job, but he is doing the job, and his mental acuity is there. So I think that there's a conflation of two things here, is his mental capacity and serving another 4 years as old as he is. But those are two separate things, in my opinion. And look, these people that have known Joe Biden their entire political lives, I know Joe Biden is like, can y'all just please defend me a little more? Hey, there's one thing about the president.
It hurt Democrats in November to try to tell the American people something they could see with their own eyes wasn't true.
But it's not true that the president doesn't have the mental acuity.
Of course it is, Symone. American people saw that for themselves in the debate.
What are you saying? He can at least put a sentence together. The president-elect is the one I am concerned about.
What? Excuse me? Let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly. Symone is willing to criticize her good friend Chucky, but she's not willing to criticize him for lying. Symone is pissed off with Chucky because he didn't lie enough. Is that what you're saying? Do I need to pull the clips? Do I need to dig through my video archives and show you the man that Symone Sanders claims is competent? Watch this montage for yourself. You tell me if you trust this man with the presidency.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with look, if we finally beat Medicare, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans. The impact on the choice, the idea that they're gonna, I'm proposing that everybody, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies.
Here's what I don't understand. Why does Symone Sanders feel the need to cover for Johnny B. Biden? Either she believes what she is saying or she is being paid to say it, but either way, she has no credibility. Why would you be willing to destroy your own credibility for a president that's no longer in office? And not only is Johnny B. no longer in office, he has no chance of ever getting back into office. It's over. The fairy tale has ended. The myth has been busted. There is not a single person that possesses logic in this country that believes John Biden is fit to be president. And if you do believe that, I've got a supersized tube of Preparation H to sell you on the final day of the Butt Bongo Festival. Maybe Symone Sanders actually believes that John Biden is competent and we should be concerned about Donald Trump. If that is the case, and that's a big if, I will give Symone Sanders just a little bit of credit here. There are rumors that there could be massive layoffs at MSNBC. Rachel Maddow had to take a $5 million pay cut. I think she went from being paid $25 million a year down to $20 million. Considering the fact that Rach only works one night a week and her ratings are circling the pooper, they should be paying her 20 pesos a week or 20 pesos a year if they're paying her at all. Symone's sister in woke and hairstyle, Joy Reid. Our bundle of joy. She has been given an ultimatum from MSNBC. She can either accept less money while keeping her current schedule, or she can immediately vacate the premises. Since the election, there have been reports that the media is shifting. They're toning down the rhetoric, supposedly, and they're trying to be more appealing to normal people. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't know. But if it is, it damn sure makes firing decisions easier for MSNBC when Symone Sanders is going on Meet the Press and lying about Johnny B. Biden. Me personally, I think the media is shook. For decades, the media could get away with doing or saying whatever the hell they wanted because there were no alternatives. The only alternative that normal people had was talk radio. Now, there are thousands and thousands of alternatives. Elon Musk buying Twitter, that was a complete game changer because what it did, it essentially forced other platforms to follow his lead. Look at what has happened since Elon Musk bought Twitter. How often do you hear about censorship on YouTube? 3 or 4 years ago, it seemed like we were hearing about it every week. I remember back in 2021, my first year full time, there would be weeks where every video I uploaded was being flagged for demonetization. Last year, I believe I uploaded around 550 videos. One was demonetized. And the reason it was demonetized was legitimate. I was sharing a clip from CNN that showed or said something. I can't remember what it was. Either way, it was legit. Mark Zuckerberg, he just removed fact-checking from Facebook. How the Wanker Spankers, they had to launch their own social media platform just to get away from free speech, just to get away from the truth. And all this happened because Elon Musk bought Twitter. Another consequence of him buying Twitter, the mainstream media, they've come to the harsh realization that they are no longer needed. Their influence has vanished along with their ratings. But anyway, give me your thoughts. Symone Sanders criticizes Chucky the Schumer for not lying hard enough about Johnny B. Biden. Why in the hell is the media still defending Johnny B? It's over. There's no chance for him to be president ever again. Why do they still feel the need to defend him? Or are they defending their own lies? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. Best way to contact me is through email, btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys later.